This is a video for opening a new case. So to begin, you're going to schedule yourself for the opening. We're in the client's chart right now. You'll select RN Supervisor. Service code is initial assessment. Yourself. Attach your initial assessment form. Schedule yourself for 2 hours. Prior to your visit, you can click on more details, go into your service tasks, begin filling in your initial assessment form. Some information you will be able to input based on the referral, some information you might gather when you speak to the family to schedule this appointment. Some stuff can be easily entered prior to the visit. Once you get to the visit, clock in and begin your initial assessment. The initial assessment is lengthy. It is not expected to be able to be finished during your visit. It's a good idea to familiarize yourself with this form so you do gather all the information that is needed to be entered in, whether you take notes on paper or you're able to simultaneously have the iPad open and fill in information as you go. So the date of your initial assessment, your client's name, who gave you the information, who the primary nurse on. If you don't, just leave it blank. Date of birth. Phone number, the best phone number to reach this client on. Phone numbers that you would like to add in there. Maybe there's a dad or a grandmother, someone else that wants to be added to the address of the gender, religion, church, if not, leave it. Occupation, may just be a child. Praying doctor's name, this is important. Their address. The number for the doctor. May not get all this from the family. And look up later if need be. The fax number as well. During intake for this client, it might already be in the chart. The intake coordinator might have gathered this information. You can look at the client's chart prior to visit. If this information is in, you can copy it over onto your initial assessment and then verify with the family at the time. Important that it goes on our initial assessment along with it being in the chart so that it's on your visit. The fields here that populate into the client's chart, the birth, name, phone number, address, and the gender only. The doctor's information will not populate into the chart, into the contact area. It may or may not be there. Well, after your visit, you'll just double check that the information is listed in the chart. Hospital that they prefer, The nursing home or social service involved. Case manager is. And a contact phone number if their DME company and contact information, respiratory supply company and information, pharmacy name. If it's CVS, please note where the CVS is. Any additional comments? Next section, a lot of this information will pull through to the client's chart. Need to give every client a priority level. 1 being the highest needs, 2 moderate, 3 lowest needs. You can read through the descriptions and decide what your client's priority level is. The primary diagnosis and reason for home care just needs to be the primary. So 1 diagnosis. So it might be 2930 break status. Duration of present illness. So maybe this was placed in 2022. And here where the asterisks are, that's telling you that this is going to populate onto the client's chart. So any current medical diagnosis, put in your codes. If you know the start, you can enter that in as well. Add all medical diagnosis. Sometimes if you type, you'll get some prompts for your ICD codes. Let's see. Add those in. Hospitalizations. Anything that they might have been hospitalized for recently. Want to add a start and end date known. The recent surgeries, you can add those in as well. Of injuries, they had a fall with a broken bone, burn, anything that's reported in history, add that here. History of injuries does not populate into the chart. If you need to add additional injuries, you just check. Physicians, we do not need other childhood information. Most important in this section, if they have vaccines, those are the 2 we're looking for. Allergies will pull through to the chart. Client does not have any allergies. Known allergies. Type, you can select as other. The severity, just leave as mild. You do have to select something there. If they do have any additional allergies, just add them in. And then your risks. All clients, universal precautions. Five is the highest severity. If they have aspiration precautions. All clients should have safety precautions as well. In here, you can also add any precautions. Maybe they might have dogs in the home. They have any infectious diseases. You're going to add all that in, and that should populate into the chart. Nutritional requirements, this is needed for the 485. So how are they fed? They tube feeding only, NPO. What their limitations are, their activities permitted, their mental status. You can select other and specify maybe they're developmentally delayed and what the prognosis is. All that information will again go into the medical history for the client. Below is the equipment that is used. So these are assistive devices. So for glasses, they have an electric wheelchair, a hospital bed in the home, and then the DME and respiratory supplies. You have an option to select all that apply. If there's something on there, there's something else that's not listed in the drop down, you can select other, add in what the other is. Leave any comments that you need. The DMA and respiratory supplies do not pull through to the chart, that it will be something you have to add later. Next. Please note as you're doing the form, it should have a check mark next to all changes saved. So you know that your information is being saved if you were to leave the form. Active medication list, this is where you're going to add all the client's medications in. We'll through to the Ally Care chart. Use of emergency medications. They have emergency medications for anaphylaxis, for seizures, asthma, or other. This is a field that needs, it was a duplicate field that needs to be removed. And you're going to fill in your set of vital signs from your initial assessment. If they have blood sugar checked, you're going to add that, an approximate height and weight. Vision, they have cataracts, glaucoma, double vision glasses, other, are they completely normal? You don't need to add anything. You can say comments, you can say no visual impairments. Same thing with hearing, select the appropriate. Speech. What language do they communicate in? Do they understand English? Do they understand English and Spanish? How are their needs communicated? Are they verbal? Are they nonverbal? If they're nonverbal, are they able to moan? Are they facial expressions? A tablet? Your endocrine system, respiratory system. If they have a tracheostomy, you're going to select it and be able to fill out more information regarding that. If they have a ventilator, you'll select and add information about the ventilator. And finish going through all of your systems. Here you'll get to the client's cognitive age, select what is appropriate. If you have any behavioral concerns, sleep patterns, Is it irregular? Is it naps through the day, sleeps all night, whatever it may be? Use any sleeping pills? Musculoskeletal, comments to include required activities. So in here, you want to make note if there's standard use, if they're out of bed to the wheelchair 3 times a day, if it's bed bound and you're doing turning every 2 hours, passive range of motion, active range of motion, include any details that may need to be added to the care plan. A full skin assessment. And then you do have the ability to mark off on the mannequin. If you do note anything there, you can just circle and put in your assessment of what it is that you're circling. Clients or potential for skin breakdown. How are we transferring this client? Is there a Hoyer lift in the home? Is there a sit to stand? Is it a manual transfer? Is it a 2-person transfer? There is an area for exercise prescribed, so you can put the range of motion down here instead of up there. Maybe just a little bit about what interests your client. Maybe they really enjoy music or movies or interactive play. And every area should have an additional comment section to add anything that might be appropriate. Self-help skills. Eating, are they total care or do they have needs to be fed? May use fork, spoon, knife, fingers, independent, just assist. Select what's appropriate for each of them. These are their ADLs. You can make additional comments if there's something specific. Maybe the client gets their hair washed once a week or twice a week. Goals and discharge plans. So our goals are usually the same. So maintain skilled nursing if they're life support. Maintain and improve skin integrity, positioning, maintain and improve ADLs, maintain medication dosages, dressing changes if needed, maintain treatments should be an always, maintain home safety always, client care and supervision always, instruction, client and or caregiver. So we're always educating, maintaining client safety at home, which is kind of duplicate, but can look into that. Any other? The discharge plan, again, on previous video, I made note that if it is a long-term care client, you can select long-term care, no plan for discharge at this time, unless we know that the client is a temporary placement and they will be discharged within a period of time. Next is the psychosocial economic profile. So what is their present behavior? Any comments about it? Utilization of home care services. So do they currently have PDN with another agency? Previously had PDN with other agencies. HCA currently has PT or OT in the home. Other, maybe they have another agency in there right now. Utilization of community services. Do they have hospice, VNA, Meals on Wheels, or any kind of children's services? Any organizations or support groups? Residential/living safety. So are they homebound? Do they live in home with others? Anyone that lives in the home? So mom, Laura, sister, 3-year-old. Home environment. Is it safe, unsafe, clean, cluttered, dirty, other? Home safety equipment. Do they have smoke alarms and all fire extinguisher, fire exit, carbon monoxide detector? The entrance and exit, are they on one floor? Do they have flights of stairs, an elevator, a walk up? And please select as well, along with, let's say they're on one floor, have a safe way to enter and exit the home, or do we not? If you're writing you do not, there should be a safety issue marked. The other remarks you have about the home. Are there smokers in the house? And then naming the caregivers. So Laura is the mom. She lives in the home, the extent of her assist. Is she willing? Okay. Check if there's any other caregivers. So maybe there's an aunt that also helps out, and she may live outside the home, and the extent of her assist is available as needed. Any kind of financial issues. Most students will have some financial issues, but anything pertinent. Learning ability of the client, if they're developmentally delayed and they have limited learning ability, just make note. Learning ability of the caregiver, are they willing, able to understand our instructions and follow through? And then you can mark that the PCG and or client understands their medications, that they're appropriate for home care. Next is your signature. So sign off on your document. And at the top, it says saving. It says all changes saved. If you are not complete with at this time, you can leave and return to it and edit it. So we'll show you that. Back into our client's chart. Go into their schedule. Go back to my visit. And if you would like to double check before clocking out that your form is saved as a draft, it's right there. And then you can click out. You want to resume your form, you just click on your visit, more details, go into service tasks, and hit fill in. All the information you added should be here. Complete what you need to complete, and then submit your form. I'll pull you back to some areas that were required that we did not fill out. And again, submit. Once you submit, you'll see all your information generate in here. At this point, you still have the ability to edit your form. Once your form is sent in, the clinical care supervisor will then approve the form, and the information will start generating into the client's chart. I am in the staging environment, so we will see if that happens. Okay, it has. So your risks here. You can also check down here if you need to add any more that you may have missed. Under client info, we're going to go into contacts. The medical history is where information should go in. If we don't know family history, that's fine. We do not need to add this section in. If there are no known infectious diseases, you may check off that. No known surgeries, we didn't add any in, or if we did, it'd be listed here. If there were no known hospitalizations, again, just mark there. Immunizations are listed. You've written in no known drug allergies, you can also click off. And then all of your requirements are here. And then if you've changed anything, just make sure to hit save. Next step is to go into care management and care plans. We're going to add a care plan. This is the first care plan for your client. We're going to label it with the client's name and the date you opened the case and how long the certification period will be, which is 3 months from the date that you opened. Case end date. And here is where your care plan will begin to be generated. Right now, there is one care plan library option. You click on the book icon to then add in the care plan. From here, you can select what you want to add in, or you can select all by clicking this and add in all the preset information. A lot of the goals remain exactly the same for most of our clients. Some of them do not have respiratory issues or life support, so you may not select those. If you select all of them, you can always delete them from the care plan as well. So we're going to say select all, add to care plan. We're going to say yes, and we're going to confirm. This, and we have our draft started. And here's our care plan library added in. You'll see the book next to it, meaning that you pulled this from the care plan library. Most interventions will need updating, so you'll have to edit. You're going to add in how many hours of this client is authorized for and hit save. All clients should have this listed under their diagnosis section. You must enter it into the name, not into the description, so that it appears at the top on the 485. And then if there's any interventions that don't apply to your client, you can delete. You'll have to go into each one of these interventions and add more details. So provide nutrition and hydration, you need to write out what the feedings are by editing the interventions. And you can do that for each one of them. If you need to add an additional intervention that was not listed on the care plan library, you select the plus sign. It might be seizure protocol. You're going to list out your seizure protocols. Your type is nursing, no related goals, no tags, no department, no services. Unclick required for visit completion and leave on there include in 485. The start date is the date you opened the case with no end date. Your frequency type, a visit, and hit save to add it in. Okay, make sure you thoroughly read through each one of the interventions that populates to make sure you do not need to add patient-specific information. The trach will need the type and the size, the step-down size, how often it's being changed. Same thing with the G-tube. If there's specific parameters on the vital signs or it's done more often than Q-shift. Your type and frequency. If the ADLs are not total care, they could possibly be assist care. You just need to edit. And then once your care is complete, you will hit publish. completed your questions on the initial assessment, they would all be populated here. If you do not, you can put medications in here. The next to go is your delivery growth notes. I'm hoping I can get the level of care designation calculated over from the initial assessment. This moment, while recording the video, it is not possible. So you're going to add in your level of care that you've put on your assessment. Copy and paste the verbiage in here as well. Your entry. The descriptions are listed on your Google Doc workflows as well. We checked over our risk assessments and those are all in. And the next spot you're going to go is to your client info, contacts. And if during intake they have not added the doctor's information or who the emergency contact is, it's responsibility to make sure it's there. So, mom's name, her phone number, add new client contact, mark off this as the emergency contact and relationship is mother. I have to add that address if you live in the same location or any other information here. If the doctor's information is not in there, onto the 485. All that's already in, populate, and you would just go into edit. All their information is there. And just make sure that you select that they are the referring provider. This is the off 485 are the primary care physician. If they are not the referring provider, do not mark referring provider. And you can put the type, maybe the neurologist or the pulmonologist, the other doctor information. Next area is care management. You're going to go to associated employees. And you're going to add yourself. Norma as well. She's the clinical care supervisor. Alerted if there's any changes to this client's status. Yourselves here, if a client goes on hold because they're hospitalized, you will get an email from AlayaCare stating your client was placed on hold. To reach out and see what's going on. All in care management, you're now going to go to document approvals. Oh, I'm sorry, I did skip a step before you. Before you do that, you're going to want to add your supplies in. So in care management, you're going to go to services. To click on the service code for supplies that will already be there. And down at the bottom, you're going to hit equipment and supplies. To start a new requisition. And by referencing your initial assessment, you can add in all of the supplies that the client needs. So it's generated onto the 485. Add the item. You'll see that the fields will pre-populate and you can save and add any items that you need. There is not an item that you need pre-populating. The ability to add new items to the library, which can be shown in a different video. If you're done, you'll hit approve. And then your last step is that document approval. You're going to add a document. Document is the 485. Your provider number is 4. It is also listed on your workflow sheet. Start date period is the day you opened the case. 3 months, you must change it. Months, so April. The start of care date. We know when the nurse is starting, we can add that date. If not, put the date. Provider that you entered. Save. And leave it as a draft. All the interventions you've put in are here. Once your 485 and your care plan are complete, you're going to want to print both of them, or as of this moment, we can email them to Allison and she can start delivering them to the home. You're going to want to make sure your attachments are all in to upload to when you get the care plan in. If you have your PDN Horizon form that you filled out during the opening and the signed guarantor, the folder and upload file here. Once everything is all done, please inform the office. We will be requesting authorization based on your documentation. Your documentation should be done in a timely fashion within 2 days so we can begin to get approval for authorization and start services. Once your MARs are complete, they should be delivered to the home with the care plan for signatures, and you will then upload the signed care plan into the attachments. And that concludes opening a case.